Hey guys, how's it going? Got your Kripp here this afternoon. I tried to get on when I could, and I was able to get on like an hour ago. I finished all my stuff, but I thought I'd just chill because I saw the servers are coming down pretty soon. So they should be coming up pretty soon, but we have a few patch notes. Okay, not bad. We can have a quick look. Fine, let's just do it this way so I don't have to move the camera. So the anglerfish, this is the burn thing that charged when you slowed. It literally was a card that bricked your aquatics. Like this thing is horrendous. And they're changing it. It's like a little bit more burn. At bronze, this is actually a pretty good amount of burn. Not that it will cascade, but it's just like a big hit. So it's usable at bronze. But honestly, it's still kind of crap. It's basically a lighthouse, but worse. Yep, lighthouse, but worse, slightly smaller. But it is a decent item to start out with. Because 10 burn is just a lot of damage. Like 6 burn is 21 damage. So it's 7, 8, 9. So 31, 40, 48, 55. 55 damage. So it is a 10-second cooldown item with 55 damage. 5.5 DPS for a medium. Actually pretty decent. Pretty decent. It's not like breaking the game. Oh, it starts at silver? Oh, never mind, it's garbage. Okay. Dive weights. Yeah, I actually thought it was bronze still. I missed that first part. Nah, it still sucks. Okay, but that's fine. Like some of them are bad, some of them are good. It is like a mix. 5.5 DPS would be good for bronze. Not like broken, but like good. For silver, it's not good. It's not good. Pretty much any medium item should have more power than 5.5 DPS. So you would only use it if you have like a burn skill and you have a slow item, which is not very likely. Dive weights is now apparel. Cooldown 8 from 7 for each aquatic, reduced cooldown by 1. So effectively, it is a 6 cooldown instead of a 3.5 cooldown. I did say this item is completely insane. They nearly doubled the cooldown. I think it's still pretty decent. Still pretty decent. If you have an ammo skill, it's very good. If you don't, it's pretty weak, but it's decent. Diving helmet is now apparel. This is a pretty unusable item, very niche, but we'll see. Primordial depth charge. They plus 2 seconds on the cooldown. The main issue was actually the cooldown, because like pufferfish builds would go off immediately and you'd be stuck waiting like 10 seconds. So they basically double down on its weakness, which absolutely nerfs it. But it's still insane until like the late days. I'm not going to say it's bad in the late games because it's a chain freeze, right? That's always going to be pretty good. It's just you really have to find a way to make it faster. You cannot wait 10 seconds on like day 12. Like someone is dead or completely frozen 10 seconds into combat on day 12 and later, right? It's just too slow. Someone in Discord mentioned that items you bought that land next to diving helmet count towards when you buy aquatic. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize that. Maybe it's a bit more usable than I thought. Submersible was a terrible item. 6 cooldown from 8 if you have another vehicle or large item, reduce cooldown by 50%. This is now a very good item. They actually seriously buffed this. This is now better than submarine if you have a large item. Right? Yes. It's as good as the old submarine in medium. But actually the old submarine was good that it was large, because you could get double damage with large. It's still probably slightly better than submarine, though. It's much worse than flagship, so it's not like going to break the game or anything. It's okay. No, I think it's better than okay. I think it's good. I think it's good. Because you can't always play flagship. Like you only get flagship in half your runs. So if you get like an early crow's nest and an early silencer, it's like another thing that you might have to use, and it's pretty good. It's one of the best weapons. Like it's definitely worse than flagship. It's definitely worse than Cutlass. It's worse than an ammo-solved double barrel, but it's kind of hard to solve the ammo on a double barrel. And then it's like the next one, right? It's like the fourth best weapon. Is there a better one? I mean, you might have something that has an enchant on it. Like, it's effectively comes with a shield enchant, but I would prefer like a fire enchant or a poison enchant or something like that, right? So it's the fourth best starting weapon for a one weapon build, which is pretty good, but keep in mind you're kind of getting wrecked 10% of the consistency. So this will kind of just like make up that difference, I would say. Is Fang better? Again, this kind of comes with shielding in the early game. Having shield is good. Small items also get frozen a little bit more easily than medium. I would say this is better than Fang. No, I think this is better than Fang. I think it's the fourth best weapon you can play in a one-weapon build, which is decent. Yeti Crab, permanent poison buffs from the stash as long as it remains in the stash. Jesus, that is a wild one. So now it always freezes 1 for 1 instead of 4. That's not a small nerf. This was a pretty good item. Rip Crab. It's pretty nerfed, guys. This is a big nerf. Some of my builds were pufferfish with the submersible, and the primordial depth charge. It'd go off like 7 times, and then effectively it would like juice this thing, and then it would keep going off after that. And now you can still do the juicing, but if you don't have another source of freeze, honestly, it's terrible. So you need another source of freeze, which makes it much worse. Those are overall pretty big nerfs to Aquatic's Vanessa. I think if you buy the prize pass and you have the items, the submersible kind of fixes the weapon situation, because before it would make Aquatic's builds a lot stronger, but it would make your weapon builds weaker because the weapon sucked. Now one of the weapons, it's not like amazing, but it's pretty good. So it kind of equalizes that 10% loss in consistency. But the Aquatics package is much worse than it was yesterday. Like, much worse. It's a big nerf. Yeti Crab is a big part of the nerf. Pufferfish, higher poison, longer cooldown, starts at silver. That's going to make Puffer a little bit stronger when you first get it and weaker in the late game, which is probably fine. Pygmalien, Aurora Dome. When you freeze, your shield items gain for the fight. What? Oh, I guess you can get it slightly earlier. I was going to say they nerfed an item that I thought was garbage. Well, they did nerf an item that I thought was garbage. It is actually worse at diamond. But honestly, I would see myself using it at silver. I would see that. It's pretty decent at silver now. Because before it was gold and diamond, and your build is pretty much set, and this just didn't do anything. This is actually a pretty good change. They actually nerfed it, but now we might actually use it. So I guess that's a good change, right? Nerfed, but more usable. It's double nerf because opponent freezes don't count. Oh, I see. Well, there's not a lot of freeze in the early game. I still think it's more usable. The main problem was that it came too late. I didn't need tiny shields when it was gold tier. Like, I still might use this at silver. Like, if I get a tape, I definitely want this item. And usually I don't use tape in the endgame, even if I get it early. Cold Room now starts at silver. Cooldown is 10 from 8. The freeze is minus 1 item. And the regen is quite nerfed. It's 1 step over. I just want to point out that this item by itself would make you immune to Lich on day 6. So this is a massive, like, quadruple nerf. But it's to an item that trivialized the game's hardest monster. So, like, I don't know. I'm sure it's still pretty good, right? I'm sure it's still pretty good. This item is completely insane. This is one of the strongest items in the entire game before they're quadruple nerfing it. It's hard to say because the quadruple nerf is pretty big. Honestly, I'd still buy it. Even if this item was actually like not that good, Like, I think it's still good. But even if it wasn't that good, there's still cases where you would use it because it's a fairly fast medium property for activating property synergies. Like, they could have nerfed this into the absolute floor and it would still be somewhat usable. And it's definitely nerfed, but I think it's still a pretty good item, but we'll see. It's really hard to tell when something gets quadruple nerfed because the nerfs kind of multiply each other a little bit. It's really hard to tell for sure, but I think it's still really good. Reduce the cooldown of adjacent items, 1-2 for the fight. Oh, wait, what? They didn't like my 1 second cold room with cryo sleeve? Oh, man, what? That was totally fair. That's totally fair. What do you mean? Okay, that's pretty... It's still, again, still a good item. I'd still probably go for it. I'd still probably actually save ammo for this. I think it's very good. First time you fall below half health, freeze all items for 3 from 4. That doesn't matter. When you freeze, charge this 4 seconds from 6. But they're also nerfing the main freeze item, which is Cold Room. So it is a double nerf. I only used this item once, and it was good. But again, it's like a multi-nerf, so I'm not sure. Steam Ladle. Slight nerf. The main issue with Steam Ladle now is Cold Room is going to start at silver. So when you first get this, it's really bad. It's like 4 cooldown burn too. It's just like really bad. Like you would need to start with Cold Room and then get the Steam Ladle, which breaks the consistency significantly. Okay, Bushel is back to not being garbage. That's good. Matchbox buff, that's pretty insane. Enchanted Truffles, okay. Weights are back to 6, that's fine. Uzi is back to 2, that's good. Oh, thank God. The game is playable once again, guys. The octopus item is now the proper cooldown. When you sell this, your leftmost item gets plus 0.5 seconds to freeze. Wait, they can do that? I didn't know they could do that. I thought it was whole starting numbers. Apparently they can do that. That's like the adjacent potions have an extra ammo something. Whatever. Poison Tyrant. When you poison, gain regen. Oh, so it won't nuke the enemy. Okay, this one doesn't matter because that monster is easy. But this one does matter because this monster is broken. This monster is invincible if you're playing a burn build. So they basically made it so you have to be the one burning in order to get the regen. Which honestly is these are very fair. These are very fair nerfs. Yeah, the Viper one doesn't matter too much because the Viper's items just they kind of suck pretty hard. But this guy has good burn items, so you just lose if you're playing burn. Yeah. Overall, I think this is very good. Now, since I made my monetization review, like we'll do another tiny review here. I think with these changes, the Vanessa pack, honestly, is like par. Like I've been trying to play poison, primordial, depth charge style builds nonstop, and the results have been mixed. And I'm mostly losing to weapon Vanessas, which you actually lower the consistency of activating the pack. So now they actually nerfed these items. Now I do think they were stronger than average, and they nerfed them. And now, honestly, the entire pack is about average, I think. I mean, it's never going to be exact. I'm sure they have the numbers, but this is a good effort. I would go on to say that for Vanessa, if you don't have the item pack, your win rate should be pretty much the same. Honestly, I think it might be higher, because I think the aquatics build might be bad. It might actually be pay to lose on the Vanessa pack by a tiny percentage. And rip in peace, pufferfish. Like for you to play pufferfish without the pack, Jesus Christ, don't do that, guys. Just don't do that. It's kind of sucks that puffer got wrapped in those nerfs. don't even think about playing pufferfish if you don't have the pack. The pack kind of makes it maybe viable. Yeah, you can remove the pack. You do it from like it's like a regular cosmetic. It's a little bit hard for me to judge the Pygmalien nerfs because the really big outlier was Cold Room, And again, when something is nerfed in 4 different ways, it's a really tough call to say. I think it's a pretty big drop, and I think it's a little bit of a meta play because we're going to see less aquatics Vanessas, and because we're going to see more weapon Vanessas. One of the builds that does really well against weapon Vanessa is actually Crook Pig. So I'm kind of going back to the fact that Pig's pool has 5 medium items, and now they are more silver. Like if you're using Pig's pack, your consistency for Crook builds is even worse, because Aurora Dome used to be gold and now it's silver, and Cauldron used to be bronze and now it's silver. So I estimated your consistency for Crook was minus 30% if you had the pack. The pack was really broken. It was definitely like the pay for higher win rate. Absolutely. I don't know if it is now, but I also want to point out that I think Crook got gains from the Vanessa changes, and Crook is even less consistent because of these changes. Like, again, I don't really know how to judge these in terms of their own power. They're obviously worse. I just don't know. But one thing we know for sure is that Crook is even less consistent because there's so many silver medium items in the pack now. And yeah, Pig was probably the worst hero if you didn't have the pack. So them buffing Pig, honestly, their changes are pretty on point. My instinct is that Pygmalien's pack will still give him a higher win rate, but I think it will be marginal. That's my instinct, but it's pretty difficult to say for sure. We'll see in a few days, I guess.